Ever wonder what separates those companies that, just exist from those that become like iconic, like legendary?
Hmm.
That's what we're diving into today with Built to Last.
Yeah. This book, it really digs into what makes certain companies, thrive across generations.
Become institutions more than just like a business?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about building a company that doesn't just tell time, it builds the clock itself.
And you've brought some fascinating excerpts, so let's unpack it.
Okay, so one of the things that really struck me is how this book, it really challenges those common assumptions about, well, about success, frankly.
Mm.
Like a lot of people think to build a company that lasts, you need that, groundbreaking, earth-shattering idea right out of the gate.
Right, like that aha moment.
Exactly. But Collins and Porras, they found that's not always the case.
Really? That's actually kind of comforting, you
Right.
know?
You don't need that stroke of genius on day one.
So it's less about like starting with the perfect answer and more about what building a company that can just figure things out as it goes.
Exactly. It's about adaptability, evolution. Like look at Hewlett Packard. They started by, experimenting with all sorts of different products. Took them a while to find their niche.
Interesting. So it was more about their ability to adapt and evolve and less about like the initial product.
Precisely. It's about building those internal mechanisms for growth. That's what really matters. And another myth the book debunks is this whole idea that you need a rock star CEO to be successful.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we hear about those larger than life leaders all the time. But the book is saying it's actually more effective to be more of a clock builder
Yes. Someone who focuses on the systems, the culture.
instead of just being a charismatic figurehead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about someone like David Packard from HP. He wasn't flashy, but he created a company culture that's, well, it's legendary. And it's about building enduring systems, right? Not just relying on individual personalities.
Right, because those come and go, but the system, that's what remains. It really makes you think about leadership differently.
It does.
And here's another point that really struck me, this whole idea of putting purpose above profit. Isn't that a bit, well, idealistic? Especially when you think about, shareholder expectations and all that.
It might seem counterintuitive, right? But
Hmm.
but Built to Last argues that the really visionary companies, they're driven by something deeper than just making money. They have
Hmm.
this core ideology, and that's actually what fuels their long-term success.
Okay, so how does that play out in the real world? Got an example?
Yeah, consider Merck, big
Hmm.
pharmaceutical company. Their credo, it actually prioritizes, quote, preserving and improving human life,
Wow.
even over
Over
profits.
shareholder profits,
They
seriously.
actually gave away a drug that cured river blindness,
Wow.
even though it meant like zero profit for them.
That's incredible. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is, right?
Exactly.
It seems like actions speak a lot louder than words when you're trying to build a lasting legacy.
It's about creating that self-perpetuating cycle, right? Where a strong sense of purpose, it drives the profits, it attracts talent, it builds trust with customers. It's not one or the other.
So we're talking about more than just like a mission statement here. We're talking about really embedding your values into every single decision you make.
Exactly. It's the difference between, just chasing short-term gains and building something that really endures.
So it's about more than profits, right?
Sure.
It's about this deeper why. But how do you actually like translate that into a company that actually functions, that thrives? Like what are the building blocks of these visionary companies?
Yeah, that's where we get into the real, like the DNA of these companies. And as you said, it goes way beyond just like having a mission statement on the wall.
Right.
Built to Last identifies these two key elements. They call them core ideology
Hmm.
and a drive for progress.
Okay, let's break those down. So core ideology, what exactly does that mean?
So it's about defining the company's fundamental like reason for being.
Okay.
It's their core values, their
Yeah.
enduring purpose, right?
Right.
And it's not just a catchy slogan.
Mhm.
It's really like the soul of the company. It's what guides their decisions, shapes their culture.
So if the core ideology is like the soul, would you say then that the drive for progress is like the engine?
Exactly.
That's what keeps things moving.
Visionary companies are never content with, just the status quo, right?
Right.
They're always striving to improve, to innovate, to evolve.
So how do they do that?
So Built to Last highlights three key mechanisms that really fuel this drive.
Okay.
The first one is, they call them BHH,
BHA.
Big, hairy, audacious goals.
I love that.
Right.
It's ambitious.
It's a little daring, even.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's about setting these really ambitious goals that push the company forward.
Give me an example. Like what's a BHAG in action?
Oh, absolutely. Think about, like, Boeing setting out to build a 747.
Okay.
At the time, I mean, it seemed almost impossible, a plane that massive.
Right.
But that audacious goal, it pushed them to innovate, to achieve something truly groundbreaking.
It's interesting how a BHA can be like daunting and inspiring at the same time, you know?
It's true.
It's almost like a rallying cry for the company.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
about setting that target that's big enough to spark that creativity and innovation to push everyone beyond their perceived limits.
So you've got your BHAs.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next mechanism? How do you keep up that momentum?
So the next one is, they call it try a lot of stuff and keep what works.
Okay, so that sounds like it's about encouraging experimentation. Like even if it means some ideas aren't going to work out.
Exactly. Companies that last, they embrace that experimentation.
Yeah.
They create a culture where failure isn't feared,
Mhm.
but it's seen as an opportunity to learn,
Right.
3M is a classic example. Their whole culture of constant experimentation, it led to so many innovations like Scotch tape,
Right.
which was actually like a failed attempt at something else entirely.
Wow. It's about embracing that learning process, right? Even like celebrating those detours, those unexpected discoveries that happen along the way.
It is. It
Makes you wonder how many potentially groundbreaking ideas are out there that, that never see the light of day because companies are too afraid to take those risks.
And that's a key difference. These visionary companies, they understand that progress, often involves taking calculated risks and being comfortable with the fact that sometimes you might have setbacks.
Right. It's about being adaptable.
Yes.
Building a company that's flexible enough to navigate those changes, those inevitable challenges that are going to come up.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our BHAGs, we're experimenting. What's that third mechanism?
The third one that Built to Last points to is something they call homegrown management.
Homegrown management, okay?
And this is the idea that visionary companies, they tend to promote leaders from within. So they're fostering this deep understanding and embodiment of the company's core ideology because those leaders, they grew up in the system.
It makes sense. They've already been steeped in the company's culture and values, so they can really carry that legacy forward.
Exactly. It's about cultivating this deep bench of leadership talent that understands the company's DNA,
Right.
and can continue to adapt it and evolve it for the future.
Okay, so to recap, we've got the core ideology, that's the why. We've
Yeah.
got the drive for progress, that's the how. And then these mechanisms, the BHEs, the experimentation, the homegrown management, those are the tools that really keep these companies moving forward. We've talked about the why and the how of these visionary companies, but there's this other layer to it, right? Something that feels almost like intangible.
You're right. And that's where company culture comes in.
Okay.
Built to Last talks about how, visionary companies, they don't just attract employees, they cultivate this sense of belonging, this shared identity that goes way beyond your typical 9 to 5.
So it's more than just a job.
Way more. They actually use the term cult-like to describe it.
Cult-like. Okay, that's a strong word, but you're not talking about anything like sinister, right?
No, not at all. When they say cult-like, it's not about blind faith or, unquestioning obedience.
Okay.
It's about aligning everyone around a shared purpose, a set of values, but so deeply that it creates this really powerful sense of community.
So it's less about conformity and more about like creating this culture where people are really committed, like truly believe in a shared vision.
Exactly.
Are there any like real world examples of companies that have actually cultivated this kind of culture well?
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
Think about IBM back in the day.
Okay.
They had these really rigorous training programs. They emphasized their 3 basic beliefs, and it really instilled this strong sense of shared identity.
So it's like you earned your stripes being an IBMer.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It wasn't just about selling computers. It was about being a part of something,
Bigger than yourself.
Yes. And then you have Nordstrom. I mean, their customer service is legendary.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's not just a policy. It's truly ingrained in their culture. They've created this cult of service
Or the employees, the Nordies, they're known for going above and beyond.
all the time.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about Nordies warming up customers' cars before they leave, hand-delivering purchases if someone forgot something.
Wow. That's commitment.
It shows how strong culture, it translates into real action.
Yeah.
And another great example is Procter & Gamble. P&G. They've always promoted from within.
Okay.
So you have this system where people, they come in and they're immersed in the P&G way right from the start. They even call it proctorization.
Proctorization.
Right.
See,
It's not just a word, it's this whole system, this development, almost like an indoctrination into their unique culture.
it's like they're building a tribe, right?
Yeah, it's
A
super.
group of people who are deeply connected by these shared beliefs, these shared experiences.
It's powerful. And I think that sense of belonging, it's a big part of what fuels these companies' success in the long run.
It's got to be motivating to feel like you're a part of something like that.
Absolutely. It fosters loyalty, it fosters commitment, and this real sense of pride in the company and the work.
So we've got these amazing cultures, but how do these visionary companies actually like put it all together? What are the practical tools they use?
So that's where the rubber meets the road, right?
Right.
Built to Last talks about three key tools. They call it uh, alignment, sweating the small stuff, and clustering, not shotgunning.
Okay, I am intrigued. Let's break those down. So alignment, what does that mean in the context of building a company?
Alignment is making sure that every single part of the business, your strategies, your operations, even your day-to-day activities, it all lines up with your core ideology.
So it's not enough to just talk the talk, right? You have to walk the walk.
Exactly. Your values have to be reflected in everything you do.
Okay. What about sweating the small stuff? That sounds like attention to detail is important.
It's huge. Visionary companies get that even the little things, they matter. They send these powerful signals about your values, what you prioritize.
Like what? Give me an example.
Think about those Nordstrom business cards they give their salespeople.
Okay.
It's a small thing, right?
Right.
But it reinforces the idea that these are professionals who are there to give you that high level of service.
Right.
Or how about this Walmart?
Right.
They share detailed financial reports with all their employees.
Really? Even like entry level.
Even entry level makes everyone feel like they're a valued part of the team, not just a cog in the machine.
I like that.
Right. And finally, clustering, not shotgunning. It means these companies, they focus on a core set of values, a core set of goals. They're not chasing every single opportunity that comes along.
So it's about staying focused, even when it's tempting to like jump on every new trend, every new idea.
It's about having the discipline to say no to things that don't fit with your core ideology and the courage to stick to your purpose even when it's hard.
It's not easy. We've covered a lot of ground today, from core ideology to company culture, those BH eggs. If there's one big idea from Built to Last that you want our listeners to walk away with, what would it be?
Building a company that lasts, it's not a destination, it's a journey. It's about constantly striving to align what you do with your values, building a culture of excellence, staying true to your purpose. It's about building the clock, not just telling time.
Well said. And for our listeners, as you're thinking about all this, what's one small step you can take today to start building that clock in your own world? Maybe it's identifying a BHA that gets your team fired up, or maybe it's finding a way to bring your values into your day-to-day work in a really tangible way. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles, it all starts with a single step.